Security, right? Who is allowed to do what and who is allowed to see what, right? This is what security is all about. So let's quickly review what we already know. We have seen these organizations, right? We have seen that there are different types of organizations in Workday, like company, cost centers. Locations is not typically an organization, or location is not something that has configurable security, right? So which is the component that has configurable security in locations?
Location hierarchy.
Yes, location hierarchy, because location does not have any security configuration. So let's just assume that this is location hierarchy, and then we obviously have supervisory organization, which has configurable security. Now, when we were creating these organizations, etc., we saw that the users, we saw that roles were assigned to these organizations, right? The role of manager, the role of HR partner, the role of compensation partner, etc. Those were the roles that we had assigned to each of these organizations. Whenever we had created owner, hierarchy owner, those were some of the roles that we had assigned to the organizations, right? Roles internally have security groups associated with them. Okay, so if I have the role of manager, then that role of manager will be associated with a security group called manager. And the security group manager will be given some permissions. Okay, and the permissions will be given to the secured items or domains and subdomains. So now I will come back to this diagram. Keep a screenshot of this diagram, keep it handy, because this explains the security in a very, very easy to understand manner. Now let's take an example outside of Workday. Okay, let's just take our minds off this particular Workday security system for a moment. Let's think about a traffic signal. Okay, and you are driving down the road, you are approaching that traffic signal, and let's say the traffic signal is red. Okay, so what would you do, or what are you allowed to do in that particular scenario?
To stop.
The traffic, you have to stop, right? You have to stop. So the rule says you have to stop. What happens if you just cross? Then you are breaking the rule and you are liable to be penalized, right? If there is a camera, it catches you, it will send you a fine at your home. Or if there are cops around, they will catch you and they will whatever give you a punishment for doing that. So we are not supposed to, and we are not allowed to cross over when the light is red in a traffic signal. Now think about, you are standing there waiting for the light to turn green, and there is an ambulance coming on the same road with all its sirens blazing, and it is responding to an emergency, and the ambulance comes. Will the ambulance stop at the red light and wait for it to turn green?
No. No. No.
Why not? Why not? Won't the police catch them?
No, that's an emergency.
So what happened? It can just cross over and go on its journey, right? It can continue on its journey without stopping at the red light, right? But it was the same red light, it was the same traffic signal that your car had stopped and the ambulance didn't. Correct? So
Yeah.
so who gave them the permission? Who or what gives the ambulance driver the permission to drive even though the light is red? But how do we all know that, yeah, the ambulance can go? Where did we read about it, or how did we come to know about it?
Driver's test.
Driver's test. Yeah, in the driver's test, they give you what? A big fat manual that you have to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you have
Yes.
to go through, and you have to understand, okay, what are the traffic rules, right? What does that big fat manual from BMV contain? It contains the traffic rules, right? It contains the rules. So who has defined what happens at the traffic signal? It's a BMV,
Policy
right? Or it's a traffic law, right? It's a traffic law. So in the traffic rule book, it is defined what needs to happen, right? So that is the policy. That is the rule. That is the policy which allows certain vehicles to go versus certain vehicles to stop, right? So the domains, the security policies are equivalent to that rule book. It allows, I mean, it gives you a list of who is allowed to do what. Are you allowed to stop, or are you allowed to go in a red light? Okay, that is a security policy. That is a rule book, the guidebook, which contains a list of permissions. Now, the traffic light is the secured item because there are some rules pertaining to the traffic light, right? And similarly, there are rules pertaining to the highway, right? And then there are rules pertaining to the schools and hospitals. Like in front of a hospital, you are allowed to do something. You're not allowed to honk. You're not allowed to drive at a very fast pace, right? There are speed limits, and speed limits are varied between like a school area, a residential area, a highway, right? And then there are one ways, restricted carriageways, and so on. So each and every traffic object can be considered to be a secured item. And similarly, in Workday, each and every object, like a worker, a location, a supervisory organization, a compensation plan, a task, each of those are secured items. Secured items meaning it's an object that has to be secured, that is secured in some way or the other. And each and every object is secured, right? Okay, now when you look at, let's say, the traffic rules pertaining to a hospital, okay, and you have hospital A and hospital B. Will the traffic rules be drastically different between hospital A and hospital B? Or does your BMV say, or I mean, does your driving that manual say that, okay, in front of hospital A, you're supposed to do this. In front of hospital B, you are allowed to do something different?
No.
No.
It says, what? How does it say? It says, okay, in front of hospitals, these are the things you are
Yes.
supposed to do. So it has grouped the hospitals together into a category called, let's say, hospitals. So hospital A, hospital B, hospital C, hospital D, they are all grouped together based on the basis of what? They are grouped together because the traffic, the rules apply in a similar manner to all those four objects. Correct? Similarly, think about schools. School A, school B, school C, school D. They are in different parts of the city. But the traffic rule applies absolutely in the same manner for each and every school. Correct? Similarly, let's say the supervisory organization is a secured item. So all the supervisory organizations are grouped together as a secured item, and we call that a domain and a subdomain. So we will put that into we will group them together into domains. And for that domains, we have some permissions. So what are you supposed to do in front of a school, right? So that is given in the PMV. So here also, what are the permissions pertaining to a supervisory organization? That is defined is the domain security policy. Okay. Now think about this. Think about that same ambulance driver who jolly well crossed the red light and went ahead on his journey. Now let's say his shift has ended. He is going back home now in his own car, right? He has given the hospital back to he has given the ambulance back to the hospital. Now he's going back home in his own car, and he has approached the same traffic signal, and it's red. What is he allowed to do? Is he allowed to just cross over?
He needs to stop. He needs to
He
stop.
needs to stop. He needs to stop. Why? But he's an ambulance driver. I mean, in his day job, that is his job. He's an ambulance driver. But
It's
now,
not
why is he?
it's not
Yes, go ahead.
His
associated to
shift
his
his
job.
shift is over. His
Yeah, his
shift is
shift,
over,
yeah. He is not
Yeah.
doing,
and
he's no
the
more
rules
driving an
are
emergency vehicle right now.
He's no more, he's no longer driving an emergency vehicle, right? So he is no longer an ambulance driver at this point. So can we say that it is not him that had the permission, but his, let's say, position that
yeah.
had the permission,
Yeah.
right? His position as an ambulance driver, that position had the permission to, I mean, cross the red light, isn't it? So now he's in a different position. His position is that of a normal civilian, right? So he is driving his own car back home. So that person is no longer the ambulance driver. So